value judgments in this video. This is what is best for you if you are considering going on a multi-day bike ride and you don't know which one to do. For purposes of this video, I'm going to define bike packing as where you have inline bike bags, and I'm going to define cycle touring as when you have panniers of any description. Those are the ones that they make your bike wider rather than just fuller. So I'm going to start with the pros and cons for each, and then my recommendations and things to think about if you are a beginner to multi-day cycling. Let's start with bike packing. So the pros of bike packing are that your bike setup is generally lighter. That's because you're generally limited to bike packing bags, which are in line with your frame. So that can be a frame bag, which goes inside the triangle of your frame in here, or it could be a top tube bag or a stem bag that will sit here, or it could be a saddle bag, which will go under the saddle, and they can be pretty big on some people's bikes. Nonetheless, while you can get quite a lot of stuff on a large bike, and I'll get back to this in a second, you're still very, very limited by what you can actually carry. And as a result, the bike is lighter, which is great. And because it's lighter, and because your bags and all your luggage that you're carrying are in line with your bike handling remains kind of the same as if you weren't really bike packing at all. It's not got disproportionate weight on either side. It's not, it's easy to manage. And because your bike setup is lighter and because your bike handling is quite easy, that means you can generally go longer distance. And this is perfect if you want to go on a bike packing trip that takes in as many kilometers, as many miles as you could ever want to do in a day. You can do that because you're not hugely weighed down. So bike packing is lighter, and as a result you can go for longer. But what are the cons? So for a start, bike packers can't really carry huge amounts of sleeping stuff, so you're gonna have to find somewhere to sleep. A lot of people just stay in hotels or B&Bs or whatever. They stay in accommodation where they don't need their own little tent accommodation. They don't need a sleeping bag or anything like that. So that is going to come with quite a significant cost unless you're in a very cheap cost of living country. But let's say you're in the UK, staying in hotels, guest houses, whatever, is going to be expensive. So is it in France or other Northern European countries. So it's potentially expensive if you're using hotels, and it's potentially illegal if you're wild camping. And a lot of bikepackers do want to wild camp. They can take a bivy bag with them, which is a pretty like a waterproof cover for your sleeping bag basically, and then you can just wild camp outside. You can also take extremely small ultralight tents and wild camp as well. Wild camping is illegal in many places. It's illegal in more places than it's not. So for instance, in the UK you can wild camp in Scotland, and you can wild camp in certain parts of Dartmoor here, but there's an ongoing legal battle, which don't even get me started. In Europe, I know that you can wild camp anywhere, I think, pretty much, in Norway within like a few rules. And I'm sure there are other places as well in Europe that you can wild camp, but mainly it's illegal. So while you can do it illegally, that's just something to, think about and decide on. Another con of bike packing is that you can't carry much. This makes you much less resilient than a cycle tourer because you can't carry the same amount of spare clothing, for instance. If you're in a cold or damp place, then you're not going to be able to easily wash your clothes and then dry them within the same day. So you're probably going to need multiple sets of clothes, which obviously take up space. You also can't carry a reasonable sized sleeping bag or tent or roll mat, like all three of those things. Of course you can spend a huge amount of money and get them super tiny, but you can't in general carry those things when you're bike packing very well. You also can't carry any entertainment, like a book, for instance, which is one of the great joys of going on holiday, in my opinion, is having a book to read. You can't really do that if you're bike packing. And if you're going great distances, ironically, you're much better off cycle touring because you just don't have much of a resilient system. You're not very self-sufficient as a bike packer because you can't carry enough. Bikepacking is also more challenging on smaller frame sizes, and I don't really feel like this is ever talked about, but even buying bikepacking bags for a small bike, and I don't mean small frame size, I mean like extra small and extra small frame sizes, which are quite common for anyone below 5'4". These bikes don't even necessarily allow a full-size water bottle on the seat tube, let alone the frame bags and the top tube bags that bike packing companies are selling. I find this really frustrating. My top tube bag, which I really like, but it's about a centimetre too long for my top tube on my gravel bike, which I ride with it anyway because I cannot find one that will fit but is still full length. And it really frustrates me, but no one seems to talk about this. I see so many frame bags and top tube bags for sale, and yet they would not fit a bike that is built for someone of my stature or smaller, which is a considerable amount of the population. Ultimately, the bigger the bike, the better the setup you can have for bike packing. That doesn't apply to cycle touring. It's only a discrimination baked into bike packing. Okay, let's move on to cycle touring. Now, just as a reminder, the difference for this video's purposes between bike packing and cycle touring is that bike packing you have inline bags and you don't carry that much, and cycle touring you have panniers which increase the width of your bike rather than fill it up from the inside. So the first con, and it's a major con of cycle touring, is that generally your bike setup is going to be much heavier. Even the panniers themselves are going to be really heavy. The rack on the back that you affix those panniers to, that's heavy. If you have panniers on the front, that's more weight before you've even started actually putting any luggage into those panniers. Well-built panniers are heavy, but that does make them usually waterproof and extremely durable. You have a pair of panniers, you have a set of panniers, you're probably going to have them for your whole life. On my most recent multi-day bike ride, which was 8 days, I cycle toured it, I didn't bike pack it, and I was carrying, I think, about 15 kilos more on my 9.5 kilo bike than obviously I would normally, so that's 15 extra kilos, including the weight of the panniers, the weight of the rack, everything. That's not insignificant. Cycle touring setups also make bike handling quite hard too. You get used to it, but it's always a bit of a faff. So you might have a handlebar bag on the front and then panniers on the back, which means the back end is really, really weighed down. You can balance that out by having panniers on the front as well, but it depends how much you want to carry. You could go for a set of 4 smaller panniers, so 2 on the front, 2 on the back, to balance the bike out, which can make a big difference. But then obviously you're buying that setup. If you already have big panniers on the back for like commuting or whatever, then you know you have to sort of pick where your investment goes. But bike handling can be much harder. It's easy to drop your bike. It will tip over potentially by itself. It's harder to prop it up. It's just a bit of a faff. And because it's heavier and more unwieldy, you probably can't go as far in a day as you could with the lighter setup that is bike packing. So if you want to do huge amounts of miles per day on your bike tour, then cycle touring is going to inhibit that unless you're extremely strong and used to carrying that kind of weight on your bike, because every kilometre, every hill is going to be 15 kilos harder. Okay, so the pros of cycle touring. The most obvious one is that you can carry quite a lot. You can kind of carry as much as you could on a bike. So you can carry a tent, a roll mat, a sleeping bag. You can carry a stove if you want to. I personally carry a little tiny stove for coffee only. I don't make food on it. It's really, really small. You can carry multiple sets of clothes. If you're going for more than a couple of days, then you're probably going to want more clothes. So you can carry all of that. You can carry all your toiletries really easily. You can carry basically anything you want. And because you can carry sleeping stuff, that means you can always camp if you can find a campsite, of which there are abundant. So you never actually have to stay in a hotel or anything like that, which means your accommodation costs are dramatically lower than if you are hotel touring and you're bike packing. Now this next one isn't super relevant for most people going on their first multi-day bike ride, but if it's something that you want to do in the future, this is worth noting. Cycle touring gets you much further into the wild and into rural areas than bike packing can, and that is because you are much more resilient and self-sufficient when you are cycle touring, because you can carry so much more. You can carry food for multiple days, you can carry water even for a reasonable amount of time, you can carry water filters, you can carry loads of stuff. So if you're going into the, I don't know, Kazakhstan desert, then you can go much further and much longer and much more isolated places if you're cycle touring rather than bike packing, unless you're doing it extremely quickly. Now, the next pro is actually kind of one of my favorites, is that when you're cycle touring, because you're carrying so much more on the bike, you get strong very quickly. What you're doing every day is strength training. People pay money for this, but if you just weigh your bike down and then you go on long distance day rides between each place, you're going to get super strong super quickly. And I find this really interesting that people don't talk about that either when you're comparing bikepacking to cycle touring. The upside of bikepacking is that you can go faster and further because your bike is light, but the benefit with cycle touring is that you probably can't go as far because you're going to be going much slower, but you are getting disproportionately fit every single day that you ride with a heavier bike. Okay, so if you're a first timer to multi-day cycling and you can't decide whether you want to go with panniers or with a bikepacking setup, here are the things that you need to consider. First, what is the cost that you're looking at? Let's exclude wild camping, which is obviously free for a moment, because it is, you know, whatever, it's wild camping. Like, it does what it says on the tin. If you need to stay in accommodation, you need to pay quite a lot of money for that, unless you're staying with people that you know. Could be a good idea for a tour, I don't know. If you want to camp, then you're probably going to need to be cycle touring, you're probably going to need panniers because camping stuff builds up really quickly in size, not necessarily weight, because you can buy really light stuff these days, but it builds up pretty quickly in size. You can buy extremely small packing ultralight gear, but the price rises exponentially with the size of the package shrinking. So it kind of depends what you're looking for. If you're looking to save money, going the ultralight route isn't going to save you any money. You may as well just stay in a hotel. But if you're looking to save money and you can put up with the weight, then camping is extremely cheap. Not necessarily in the UK, but it is if you start going abroad. So camping in mainland Europe is usually very, very affordable. You also need to think about how much you want to invest into this trip. The equipment that you buy really depends on how often you're going to do it. These setups aren't cheap. Bikepacking bags are super expensive and they're quite specialized. Panniers are not cheap either. Really, really good quality panniers are not cheap at all. But if you're only going to do it very infrequently, you can obviously get away with borrowing is a great way to do it actually, or buying cheaper versions of things. But you don't want to invest a ton of money into a bikepacking setup if you then are like, actually, I want to go cycle touring, or vice versa. So try and be really smart about where you put your money. One thing I do like about bikepacking bags is that you can obviously use them on regular rides. So I often ride with a stem bag. I always ride with a top tube bag. So if you have those things as part of a bikepacking setup, then you can obviously get more use out of them. But if you commute to work on your bike, then maybe you already have a pannier, or investing in a pannier would be a better investment because then you can use it much more often and not just for your cycle tours. Another thing to think about is the time that you're going to go for and the distance that you want to do a day. So if you're going for a week and you don't really mind how far you go in a day, then you can think about that in terms of would I want to go bikepacking or cycle touring. If you don't want to do huge amounts of distance in a day and you're kind of like a slow traveler, then cycle touring is perfect. You can camp, you can read books in the afternoon, you can explore stuff, you can carry whatever you like on the bike. If you want to go really far each day and you want to be ultra light, then bikepacking is probably a better option for you. The terrain you ride on as well is quite important. I cycle tour much more than I bikepack because I go for a week at a time, and bikepacking just isn't super suitable for that for me. But bikepacking in general is much better if you want to go off-road. However, my gravel bike and my panniers can take plenty of off-road stuff and bridleways. I've done it before, but it's not ideal. Bikepacking setups are better because they're slimmer, they're not going to get caught in hedges or anything like that. They're also often designed for being taken off-road, so panniers are not really designed for that. It's not about the resilience of the pannier itself, it's how it's affixed to the bike, just isn't really set up for the bumping, battering kind of motion you get when you're off-road. And finally, think about where you're going to stay. Do you love camping? Do you want to relax by a lake and a beautiful French campsite? In which case you're probably going to need a tent, a sleeping bag and a roll mat, so cycle touring might be better for you. Or do you just want to wild camp or stay in hotels and not have to think about any of that stuff at all? In which case bikepacking, that's an easy option. If you're thinking about going on a multi-day bikepacking trip and you're a man and you're going with a woman, really try to bring them into the conversation as well if they're not already, or if they haven't suggested it. Because what women sometimes might need is going to be very different from you. And I don't think men have any idea about this sometimes. If you want to wild camp and you're like, hey, let's go on this wild camping adventure, if a woman is on her period, that's going to be extremely difficult to manage in the wild. Not to mention, we have to carry more stuff that goes with that. One of the great things about going to a campsite or a hotel is that you have a shower and you have somewhere to be clean. That is incredibly important. It's important anyway for anybody, especially if you're cycling in hot weather. But for women, I don't think these kinds of needs are really taken into account, at least not in the rhetoric that I hear online about cycling a lot. It's just like, oh, just take a toothbrush and go. And it's like, that doesn't work for us. So when you're planning these trips with a woman and you're not one, then get her involved early doors, because she's going to have some insights that you, if you're a man, probably won't have. I have so many more tips on how to actually go bikepacking and cycle touring and things that you definitely shouldn't forget for those kind of adventures, but I'm going to end this video here. So I hope this was really helpful, and I hope it's encouraged you a little bit to think more carefully about what kind of multi-day bike trip that you want to go on, how you might set yourself up for that, and most importantly, just do it and go. It's so much fun. It's like, from my point of view, having done lots of different kinds of travel, you know, from aeroplane go to the hotel kinds of travel, to sailing from the UK to Panama and back on a 10-meter yacht over the course of 3 years, to cycling through many European countries. I've done a lot, and I really love cycle touring the most. I mean, I loved sailing, and you know, you can't cycle tour around Caribbean islands very easily, but cycle touring is just the absolute bliss point for me. I find it so incredibly mentally relaxing. And bikepacking is the same. Like, I really love bikepacking too. It's just I tend to not go away for those shorter amounts of time. I would like to, but I just don't. So thanks for listening, and I cannot wait to hear about your cycling adventures. I know some of you have been cycle touring or are about to go cycle touring this summer because you've told me in previous comments. So if that's you, please let me know in this one. Share how it went if it was your first time. Share where you went, what you enjoyed most, what you really wish you had known before you went. All of those kinds of things. I really want to hear from you. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.